Coming back. The bicep, look, it's moving.
Would you like to
We're
fight?
moving and grooving.
What's the best fight to make between you at 154? Somebody else. Best fight.
I mean, that guy's pretty nice now. Now he can throw. That's going to be a scrappy fight, you know. But there's
best fight to make 154. You and somebody else.
Oh, Crawford. I mean, you say best fight.
All right, give it to us. Kevin Garcia with Fight Hype. Keith, what do you think about Murtazaliev knocking out Tim Tszyu?
You know, I mean, look what the left hook did, man. You know, I was obviously confident when I signed the contract. I said there's nothing special in what Tim Tszyu brings to the table. Earlier this week, because I was on the analytical side this evening, earlier this week, I got to interview all the fighters. And, you know, Bakhram clearly said that him and his trainer said that there's nothing special about Tim Tszyu and that Tim Tszyu is just cookie cutter made for Bakhram. And not only were they able to say that, but they were able to prove it, you know. I mean, I think Tim Tszyu, in the way that I thought he was approaching my fight, was overly confident, overly, you know, believing in himself. You know, it's fine to have skills, it's fine to have a will, but you have to have a strategy. You need to be able to make subtle adjustments in the ring and not just do one thing over and over and over again. You know, he was hurt. He was clearly hurt. And he tried to put himself right back into the fight instead of giving himself some time, strategically working behind the jab, trying to slow down the pace. There's a lot of things you could do to get into the later rounds, you know, of the fight. He obviously, the scorecards would never look good. So obviously after that 3 knockdowns, there's no way he was winning tonight without a knockout. And after the 4th knockdown, and you know, but let's be real, the way he got up, the way he kept getting up.
Yeah, a lot of grit.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you know boxing and you know that how that left hook was hitting right on the temple, and the way Tim Tszyu went down sideways, you can almost see him shaking as he's on the ground. It's almost like we can feel the reverb from the punch as a spectator. So the fact that he's consuming that type of reverb, everything in his body is telling his body to shut down. And he stood back up. And then as the last final, right before his coaches threw in the towel, he was on Bambi legs. He couldn't stand up right, but he still had the audacity to try to come with an overhand right. I mean, there just will not be, throughout history, there will not be many type of warriors like Tim Tszyu. But I told you guys, I'm not sure if he's that scary. I'm not sure if he's that dangerous. And I think, you know, I think the year of him coming over here and trying to fight the best proved that, you know, when you go from a little pool to a big pool, you run into some big fish.
Question for you. Do you think his need for revenge, Keith, his need for revenge coming off this Fundora fight, it's what he's been preaching throughout the promotion? You know, I'm here for my revenge. I'm here to get it back. And obviously he had every right to want to do that.
He was very blessed. I mean, to go from a loss to championship fight, you know. I mean, but once again, you know, it's easy. Like I said, he's the fighter, right? So at the end of the day, though, you have to question some decisions being made on the team's behalf, right? A lot of people don't like the fact that the fight wasn't stopped after the 3rd round from the cut, you know? And now that he put himself in this position, just because he wants to prove, you just got over here. There's other people you can try to fight. Nobody would have blamed if he took a tune-up fight before getting back into major contention, but they wanted that revenge. They have this cockiness. I'm gonna come to America.
Think it hurt him?
I'm gonna just establish myself. Nobody can stop me. But, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's very tough. It's a tough pill to swallow. We'll see what's next. The fans know that a Tszyu fight is a good fight. They got to pick the match right, tone it down a little bit, and pick it up once they get back to the drawing board.
2 quick questions for you before I get you out of here. First one, obviously, you know, the talk about Tim Tszyu, what he did this year. You know, here it is. Murtazaliev won the fight. 154 is going to shake up. You just spoke about yourself. Now, when we spoke yesterday, we spoke about you maybe fighting Tszyu. Obviously, that's not going to be the fight anymore people want to see. But you just called out Crawford when you walked through those doors. Is that the biggest fight at 154?
I mean, Crawford's one of the biggest names in the sport.
Yeah.
154, you know, if he weighed 175 right now, he'd be one of the biggest fights at 175, you know? At the end of the day, you know, there was one moment in my career where we were about to get Terence Crawford fight, right? And it was the same week that I was negotiating for the Pacquiao fight. So I wasn't gonna take it, you know, and I don't regret not taking it, you know? So I know, and there were moments where Crawford was saying the name Thurman. He decided to stop talking about it. You know, it is what it is. They know that it's just a great fight. His style versus my style, what he did and what the truth did. See, you know, I lost to Pacquiao. But when it comes to my peers, Sean didn't beat me. Danny was undefeated, he didn't beat me. Keith Thurman has not lost to people of his generation, right? And I barely lost to Pacquiao, right? So split decision. It just is what it is. They wanted to hype up the fact that, you know, Spence and him is the biggest fight. It was the biggest fight. 2 undefeated champions, unification. It is the biggest fight, but are you going to get the most action? And when you put Thurman in the ring, you're leaning towards getting more action. You know, I just believe that styles makes fights. Crawford dominated. I'm not interested in a rematch, no matter if Spence ever beats Fundora or yada, yada, yada. That's me personally. I'm not interested in seeing a rematch unless if there was a continuation. If it's Fundora and somebody else, and there's a continuation of some fire and some zeal, because to be at this level, you know, when you see a fighter fight, there's many things that you're seeing, but the number one thing you're seeing is the preparation in the training camp, right? Sometimes fighters, they get to this moment where they're just not as passionate, you know, they just don't have the commitment that they once had that got them to that level. So I believe that when we saw Spence and Crawford, we were supposed to see 2 world champions. I saw the performance of 1 world champion. And if you put Keith Thurman in the ring on that day, it would have been a greater action-packed fight. So that's just, you know, my opinion, and I'm gonna stick to it.
Last question: the guy that you could have fought in March, you know, who lost his title then, who just got another shot at a title, could have been your opportunity. How much you think about that, especially after this?
You know, it's too easy. You know, it's boxing. There's always gonna be someone to punch in the face, right? Don't worry about that. You know, I'm optimistic. You know, Bakhram was just talking about Allah, you know, and the glory of God. And when you're a man of faith, you just know that doors open. Doors might close, but when one door closes through faith, another door opens. When doors close and a man has no faith, then on the other side of that door, they get locked, okay? So as a man of faith, and with the determination to get back in the ring, with the determination to get back into the sport of boxing, with the determination to reestablish myself as one of the greatest of this era, you know, I just have faith that when it's time to get negotiating, a door will open. And then after we walk through that door, another door will open, and hopefully sooner than later, sometime mid next year, who knows? Maybe it's Thurman and Bakhram. You know, I don't know how quick I can put myself in championship contention.
How do you handle him differently than Tim?
Oh, I mean, I have a completely different style. You know, so, you know, at the end of the day, Bakhram is challenging because look how he opened up with like 5 jabs, right? He was like bop, bop, double, boom, boom, you know. He has a work rate. Reminds me of Sean Porter, right? When I first went to fight Sean Porter, I knew that Sean Porter was gonna throw more punches than me. Just imagine that. Just imagine that. Me and you, we're gonna fight.
Nah, I'm not imagining that. Sorry,
you know,
sorry, Keith. Never imagining that. But go ahead, try again.
And imagine that you're gonna fight somebody.
Okay, not you, but all right, all right.
Okay, and the somebody that you're gonna fight, you clearly know they are planning and they most likely will outwork you. But you have to defeat them, right? So that was the position Tszyu was in before the bell rung. Though stylistically now, you know what I'm saying? Bakhram has a higher work rate. it takes methodical offense and defense to nullify a fighter who's going to be more active than you. You have to nullify all that stuff, right? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, right? You got to nullify it so that when it's time for you to go boom, boom, you know, his 10 to your 2 is greater than his 10, right? That's not an easy game to play.
Nah, sounds tough.
It's not an easy game to play. So stylistically, I throw more punches than Tszyu, right? So I could be closer to matching Bakhram, right? But Bakhram pumps a lot of jabs. I'm not notorious for pumping that many jabs, right? Not that I can't do it, you know, but it's just not right there off rip. Oh, repertoire, Keith Thurman's gonna pump out 25 jabs every single round, right? So at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to use my IQ, the distance. Tim Tszyu was in good positions, but he was in good positions with bad defense. So that off rip would be a strategy for me. Get into a good position, obviously keep the guard up, right? When that little hook comes, slip and roll. What have you seen, you know, when you see me fight, it wasn't, he was Jose Cito Lopez. Jose Cito Lopez, man, he was throwing from the fences, man. He was swinging, whoo, woo. Post-fight, I'm in LA. His team comes and approaches me and say, look, man, we trained so hard. We were in high altitude. We was really working. We knew this was one of a great shot for him to get the title again. We knew you would be tough. But I'll tell you one thing we didn't know. We did not know that you could duck and dodge and move like that.
And dip.
He's like, you were stuck in the corner and he was throwing them and you would just escape, you know? So there's a lot of tactics in boxing that one can use, you know, if they know. So that's the one thing I love, you know. At the age that I'm at now, I'm not that young fighter. 35, I'll be 36 next month, you know. I'm not that young fighter. I'm not 25, you know. I'm not 26. I'm about to be 36, you know. But like fine wine, there's something that has happened over time. I'm not angry. It's not the Keith Thurman that told Paulie Malignaggi, you better not duck me, son! You know? It's a little different. But I feel a master. I feel like a master in the art of boxing. And I'm willing, just like I did the last time I got in the ring, unfortunately it was a while back, but the last time I got in the ring with Mario Barrios,
Barrios.
I took the young man to school. And once I get back in action, I'm willing to school a few more before it's all said and done.
Can't wait to see it. And on that note, we'll see you next time on Fight Hype. Thank you, Keith Thurman.
Thank you.
Peace.